Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're taking a journey way past the simple monument of love trope. We are going to deconstruct an absolute masterpiece of Mughal architecture. You know, when we talk about why the legends of the Taj Mahal endure today, centuries after its creation, it's really easy to just point to the romance, right? But the actual reason this structure continues to absolutely captivate the globe is the sheer impossibility of its engineering, its art, and the staggering imperial power behind it. So let's kick off this virtual tour and uncover the true foundations of an enduring legend.
All right, let's dive right into this with a massive number. 3.2 billion. That's 3.2 billion rupees, the estimated cost to build this marvel at the time. To put that into perspective, if you translated that figure into today's currency, you'd be looking at literally trillions of dollars. Trillions! This wasn't just a building project, it was the ultimate flex. It was a testament to the unimaginable wealth of the 17th century Mughal Empire under Shah Jahan.
To truly grasp a monument this complex, we're going to follow a roadmap today. We'll start with a grand architectural blueprint, move on to a masterpiece of symmetry, dive into the intricate art and calligraphy, explore the Persian garden layout, and finally look at the epic construction effort.
Starting off with Section 1, the Grand Architectural Blueprint.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that the Taj Mahal isn't just one single style. It's basically the ultimate architectural mashup. It's a flawless synthesis of Persian, Turkic, Indian, and Islamic architecture. The designers basically took the fundamental components of earlier Mughal tombs and completely amplified them, wrapping the entire massive structure in pristine white marble, which was a huge shift from the traditional red sandstone they were heavily using at the time.
So, the crucial concept you need to know to understand the whole complex is the charbagh. The designers framed this entire space as a literal representation of heaven on earth. The concept is deeply rooted in Persian mysticism, where paradise is envisioned as this ideal, perfectly ordered garden divided by 4 flowing rivers. This idea? It's the philosophical foundation upon which the entire legend of the Taj Mahal is built. Moving right along to Section 2, a masterpiece of symmetry.
As you approach the main structure, you immediately notice these 4 massive minarets anchoring the corners of the base. They stand 40 meters tall, modeled exactly like traditional mosque called prayer towers. But here's a really wild, surprising fact. They aren't actually straight. They lean slightly outward. And no, that wasn't a mistake by the builders. The engineers intentionally tilted them so that if a massive earthquake ever struck, the towers would fall away from the main tomb, protecting that majestic dome at all costs. Talk about foresight.
And speaking of brilliant engineering, the obsession with symmetry here is just next level. On the west side of the tomb sits a gorgeous red sandstone mosque facing Mecca, and it features exactly 569 prayer mats outlined in black marble right on its floor. To perfectly balance this visually, they went ahead and built an identical, massive red sandstone building on the east side called the Jawab that literally translates to the answer. Its primary purpose? Pure, 100% architectural balance. Since it couldn't be used for prayer, it just features geometric patterns on its floor instead. Even at the very peak of that 35-meter-high onion dome, we see this incredible cultural symmetry. The finial, known as the kalash, which by the way was originally made of pure gold until the early 1800s, blends Islamic and Hindu symbolism perfectly together. It features the Islamic crescent moon pointing up toward heaven, but it's arranged in a way that creates the shape of a trident, or trishul, which is a traditional symbol of the Hindu god Shiva. It's just a beautiful, unified crowning touch to the whole structure.
Next up is Section 3, Intricate Art and Calligraphy.
Now you might be wondering, considering the strict Islamic prohibition against using human forms in art, how on earth did they manage to decorate such massive interior and exterior spaces without it feeling, empty or super repetitive?
The answer? Mind-blowing abstract geometry, incredibly detailed plant motifs, and breathtaking calligraphy. The calligraphy was actually created by the Persian master Amanat Khan, and he chose the Quranic verses himself. There's this beautiful inscription that greets you as you enter the main gate, which reads, "O soul, rest with God, return to the Lord well pleased and pleasing Him."
Let's step inside the inner sanctum for a second because the details here are just insane. We're talking 25-meter-high walls and an octagonal screen of beautifully carved marble lattice known as a jali, enclosing the tombs. The surface features this exquisite lapidary and pietra work. Basically, incredibly hard, precious stones were carved and polished totally flush with the white marble to form vines and flowers.
You can run your hand across it and it's completely smooth. And down in the quiet crypt below, Mumtaz Mahal's true grave is inscribed with the 99 names of Allah.
But wait, right in the middle of all this obsessive, perfect symmetry is one glaring exception: Shah Jahan's tomb. It sits awkwardly off to the south of Mumtaz Mahal's perfectly centered tomb. Why? Simply because Shah Jahan's tomb was never originally planned to be placed next to his wife's. This mausoleum was built solely for her. When he passed away years later, his larger tomb was just added to the space, creating literally the only asymmetrical element in the entire complex.
Okay, let's step back outside for Section 4, the Persian garden layout.
So the 300-square-meter garden is meticulously divided into 16 sunken flower beds. But here is the genius design choice that sets it apart. Unlike standard Mughal gardens that plop the tomb right in the center, the Taj Mahal sits at the very end of the garden. And this brilliant choice allows the central reflecting pool to capture that iconic, breathtaking reflection of the entire mausoleum we all know and love. Plus, they actually incorporated the Yamuna River itself right into the garden's design as one of those symbolic rivers of paradise.
Which brings us to our final act, Section 5, the epic construction effort.
This is where the legend truly transcends just romance and enters the realm of human triumph. Because this wasn't some weekend project, it was a grueling 22-year marathon of continuous labor that started in 1632. They acquired the land on a plateau south of Agra from Maharaja Jai Singh, swapping it for a large palace in the city. The main mausoleum alone took 12 years to finish, and it took a whole other decade just to finalize the minarets, the mosque, the jawab, and the massive gateways.
The engineering hacks they used in the 1600s are just mind-blowing. First, to protect against the river, they dug 50 massive wells and filled them with rubble to create a damp-proof foundation. And this is one of my favorite stories. Instead of bamboo, they built a colossal brick scaffolding. It was so massive that engineers warned it would take years just to dismantle. So Shah Jahan creatively announced that local peasants could keep the bricks if they took them down themselves. And guess what? The whole thing was dismantled practically overnight. They also had to build a 15-kilometer earthen ramp just to haul up those massive stones using ox-drawn carts.
And this monumental effort was powered by an army of 20,000 workers. 20,000! Brought in from all across northern India, it was a highly specialized workforce. You had stonecutters from Baluchistan, calligraphers from Syria and Iran, and inlay artisans from southern India, all laboring unceasingly for over 2 decades.
Just picture the supply chain needed for this. The empire used a fleet of over 1,000 elephants to transport materials. We're talking 28 different types of precious stones sourced from across the entire Asian continent. They brought pristine white marble from Rajasthan, jade from China, turquoise from Tibet, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, and sapphires from Sri Lanka. It was an absolute logistical masterclass. And pulling the strings behind all of this was basically a global brain trust. It was like the ultimate 17th century supergroup. This wasn't just a local undertaking. It brought together the absolute greatest artistic and engineering minds of the Islamic and Asian worlds. You had Ustad Ahmad Lahori acting as the principal designer, Ismail from the Ottoman Empire designing that magnificent dome, and Kazim Khan from Lahore forging the solid gold finial. They combined all of their distinct cultural expertise into one unified, flawless vision.
So to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought on why the legend of the Taj Mahal truly endures today. The next time you see a picture of it, look past the romance. Yes, it was absolutely born of grief, but what stands before us is the absolute zenith of human organization, global trade, and imperial engineering. It is a physical monument to exactly what humanity can achieve when it pulls vast resources and diverse minds into a single, unrelenting pursuit of perfection. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope you never look at the Taj Mahal the same way again.